No, it was tired.
With the huge pressure she'd had, the lack of sleep, the lack of eating, this extremely pressurised week, it all got too much.
The Scottish spinster who became a worldwide internet hit has failed to win the TV talent show that made her a star.
The bookies were celebrating hot favourite Susan Boyle coming second in Britain's Got Talent.
After all that pressure, after all of the attention, to not quite make it must have been very hard to take.
This was the lowest point we'd ever reached, where suddenly you go, we have a responsibility here, and that's the point where you question yourself, the show, and have we ruined this person's life?
I saw the picture of her in the car, under the headliner, the saddest woman in the country, and all this kind of stuff, and I really felt for her. I thought it was an awful, awful situation, that you couldn't make her feel better. Everyone kept saying to her, don't worry. You know, Simon was saying, don't worry, it's going to be great. She wasn't having it. She knew that other contestants who had not won these shows just disappeared as fast as they came.
I hadn't eaten properly for about a week. I hadn't slept properly for about a week. I was like looking everything through glass, you know? And the feelings was one of extreme exhaustion.
Go over to Susan, whisper in her ear, we're still here. If you still want to make a record, I'm going to do this, and I give you my word. Just remember that.
Now let's go back to when I was sitting with Simon Cowell and Amanda Holden on the Britain's Got Talent judging panel. Susan was chatting to us before she auditioned, and she told us she had one very particular ambition.
OK, and who would you like to be as successful as?
Elaine Page.
I was inundated with emails from people from all over the place telling me to go onto YouTube and watch this performance. She came along at a time when the world was a bit weary and dispirited with the recession, and she sort of just lifted us all out of it for this moment in time.
Together, for the very first time, please welcome Elaine Page and Susan Boyle.
Nothing is so good, it lasts eternally. Perfect situations must go wrong, but this has never yet prevented me wanting far too much for far too long. Looking back, I could have played it differently. Want a few more moments, who can tell? But it took time to understand the man. Now at least I know him well. Wasn't it good? Oh, so good. Wasn't he fine? Oh, so fine. Isn't it madness? He can't be mine. But in the end, he needs a little bit more than me. More security. He's his fantasy and freedom. I know him so well. No one in your life is with you constantly. No one is completely on your side. And though I'd move my world to be with him, still the gap between us is too wide. Looking back, I could have played it differently. On a few more moments, who can tell? Just a little kid. When I was ever so much younger the start. Why am I falling apart? Isn't it good? Wasn't he fine? Isn't it madness? He won't be mine. But in the end, he needs a little bit more than me. More security, his fantasy and freedom. I know him so well. It took time to understand him. I know it so well.
I'm not actually sure who was the most excited there, but it was probably me. Anyway, time for more of Susan's story. After dealing with the pressures of her overnight fame, Susan began to finally relax and enjoy herself.
She was kind of back to her cheeky self, but I said to her, Susan, you know, if we're going to make the record, there's no release date, there's no time period on this. It takes a year, it takes a year. If it takes 6 months, it takes 6 months. It doesn't matter. Just enjoy the process.
Oh, well, after 23 years of wait, as I told you, you're making a record with someone as big as Simon Cowell. It's sort of breathtaking, really. Takes your breath away.
I wanted to make a record which represented her. I wanted her to be able to make a record and feel proud of it, and also have that feeling of you weren't expecting that either, were you? And I said this to Susan, I really, really want you to enjoy this. And what I will promise you, I will make you sound better than even you believe possible.
Now that the whole pressure of Britain's Got Talent is over and Susan now is singer in her own right, she's beginning to really enjoy it.
She loves being at the studios, and that was maybe one of her happiest times when she was in the studios recording her album.
Seems to me she's having a whale of a time, and I think the more she does it and the more she experiences it, the more she'll be able to deal with it better.